So may I introduce our entire cabinet and our parliamentary secretaries on our first cabinet meeting of the new government. And before I go into some of the matters we have dealt with, I want to take some time to wish and to congratulate the new Pope, Leo XIV. I want to congratulate the Roman Catholic community on the election of Robert Francis Cardinal Prevost as Pope Leo XIV. As we pray for his success and enriching stewardship of the Roman Catholic Church, we also congratulate him on a very historic occasion of him becoming the first Pope of American origin. The Roman Catholic Church has always played a pivotal role in our global community, from human development to spiritual enlightenment. Given the many challenges the world is facing, I have confidence that based on Pope Leo's career of kindness, love, humility, and dedication towards humanity, he will play an inspirational role. So here we are today as we enter into a new era with Pope Leo. We are also entering into a new era of a new government in Trinidad and Tobago. On Thursday, May 1st, 2025, I was sworn in as Prime Minister. So today, 8th May, marks just 1 week I've been Prime Minister. For some, they think it has been much longer. We've been here 1 week as Prime Minister. On Saturday, 3rd May, ministers and parliamentary secretaries were sworn in, and in allocated ministries, I did my best to keep to our plans, which we had enunciated during the campaign. And that is, in addition to using pre-existing ministries, I disaggregated some of them, and I created some new ones so that we could make for greater efficiencies in delivery and performance. To this end, I caused to be established 24 ministries. I see sometimes in reports in the print media and others that on the one hand we're saying I have 32 ministries. I think there is a misunderstanding. We caused to be created 24 ministries, and these are Attorney General, Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, Culture and Community Development, Defense, Education, Energy and Energy Industries, Finance, Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Health, Homeland Security, Housing, Justice, Labor, Small and Micro Enterprise Development, Legal Affairs, Planning, Economic Affairs and Development, Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence, Public Utilities, Rural Development and Local Government, Sport and Youth Affairs, Tertiary Education and Skills Training, People, Social Development and Family Services, Trade, Investment and Tourism, Transport and Civil Aviation, and 24 Works and Infrastructure. So these are the ministries that we created, as I say, for better performance and delivery, and for really setting an agenda for development in keeping with the programs, the plans and policies we had shared with the electorate in the election campaign. So that was on the 2nd of May, when the ministries, we created these ministries, Saturday, May 3rd, and ministers were sworn in on that day. Thereafter, on the Sunday after the swearing, May 5th, ministers, parliamentary secretaries hit the ground running, visiting and conferring with their respective ministry staff. Prior to that, of course, I think every one of us was in a rally somewhere on the Sunday saying thank you to the electorate. And on Monday, Minister Spalsex were out, and they have sent me reports from these various visits that they had. We have been discussing these reports and charting the way forward. I have been finalizing ministerial schedules with ministers and the PALSECs. These are now complete and will be sent to Her Excellency for gazetting. So because we had changed up the ministries, we have also adjusted schedules in keeping with our policy, in keeping our vision, in keeping our mission for rebuilding Trinidad and Tobago. So those schedules are now ready and will be gazetted shortly after sent to Her Excellency. So then we start back this week, 5th May, from the 5th of May to date. We have been planning and we put in place a government orientation program. This was held this morning, and that program included a briefing with heads of departments and executive leadership from all ministries, which was held to provide essential information and recommendations to help all ministers and parliamentary secretaries and members of parliament understand how government works. Policies are implemented, services are provided within ministries and state enterprises, so to make them better informed, to make better choices in the interest, again, of efficiency, transparency and accountability in the conduct of public business. Again, since May, we have been planning our cabinet meetings, as you know, the first of which took place today, and I will share with you some of the decisions that were taken out of first cabinet meeting. Having this cabinet meeting meant for us to prioritize and decide what areas we will deal with at this first meeting. That doesn't happen in 5 minutes. It takes a timing, speaking with all ministers and parliamentary secretaries, members of the government, to tell us, look, what do you think is the most important at this time? We have made numerous promises, pledges to the population, and so after having sworn in, after having the thank you rallies and motorcades, and after our ministers and PALSECs meeting with their heads of department, we came up with promises that we will ensure that we agree to today, May 5th, after the May 5th. So what are these? One, in 2010, the first cabinet note from the Office of the Prime Minister, when I was Prime Minister, was to establish a Children's Life Fund, so that those who had life-threatening diseases can get assistance from the state for making sure that they stayed alive. Before that was cake sale and bake sales and so on, if you'll recall. Those of you who are not so young will remember what the purpose of that fund was for. Since then, as we used it, implemented it, we found that there were some things that we could improve upon. So today, Cabinet Note number 1, 2025, is to allow for amendments to be made to the Children's Life Fund statute. And that was, there were many positive elements to that piece of legislation from 2010, but a review has revealed there are certain areas which require reform to ensure that fund is better utilized to help children suffering from life-limiting medical illnesses, and not just for helping children suffering from life-threatening illnesses. So when we started it in the first instance, it was for those with life-threatening illnesses. We have now approved an amendment for a bill to be laid in the Parliament at its first sitting to include children suffering from life-threatening illnesses and for children suffering from life-limited medical illnesses. So this allows, there were some, Barry, remind me, the ones with beta, yes, Doc, will you say it? Beta thalassemia. Yes, it's a big word. These children will be suffering, limiting their lifestyles and the quality of life, and they were not covered by the law as we had originally drafted it. So that's one. And this is where treatment is not available locally. So a decision we took and we agreed to today was to amend the Act to expand the category of applicants. So that's the first thing the amendment will do. The category of applicants who may qualify for a grant, that's the first change. And the second part of the change is to introduce a mechanism of review by the Minister of Health. Review of any decision of the Board of Management of the Children's Life Fund where they decide to reject an application for a grant under the Act. So what had happened is that board had the final say, and we felt that that was not in all the due process and law, and in just even in the pure humanity, that was not good enough. There should be a review mechanism, as with most decisions. So after the board rejects an applicant, the Minister of Health, together of course with his staffing there, would review that decision to determine whether this applicant should be granted the fund. So that's the second part of it. I don't know if some of you recall, in the last several years, a child died. And a child died because the then Attorney General failed and or refused and or neglected to interpret the law as to which category of person should qualify for the fund. And whilst they were waiting on that, the child died. Because the Attorney General then didn't have the time to try to save a life, even though we had the wherewithal so to do. So in addition to these two changes, we wanted to have an amendment that gives the discretion to the Minister of Health to deal with matters on an urgent basis. So basically we're looking at 3 changes in order to reach more of our children who would be in need of medical assistance that is not available in Trinidad and Tobago. The second cabinet note has to do with the repeal of the Trinidad and Tobago, of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority Act. This act was passed in Parliament and assented to on December 23rd, 2021. But previously, there had been previous incarnations of this TTRA from since before 2010 by the then PNM government. And they've been pushing this down the road right down until 2021, December 23rd, 2021. This act was partially proclaimed and pursuant to various orders. The period of time for public officers to exercise options under Section 18.2 of the Act was extended first by Minister Imbert from May 1, 23, January 15, 2025. January 15, 2025 has come and gone and is now superseded by the presence of an incoming government, and we have taken a different policy decision with respect to this TTRA, Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority Act. Having regard to the lengthy extensions of time for public officers to select options under Section 18 and the final tally of options, Cabinet has been advised that only 32.6% of public officers ever expressed any interest in transferring to the TTRA because they are now Board of Inland Revenue Workers, BIR, and only 32% of them took an option or expressed an option to go to the TTRA because remember they were eradicating inland revenue and so on. And they asked them to choose on the 18. They gave them 3 or 4 options. One was to transfer to TTRA. One was to stay in the public service but in another ministry, a lateral transfer of their services. Only 32% of public officers expressed any interest in coming into the TTRA. That abysmal failure in securing the majority of public officers' interest in transferring to the TTRA signifies that the authority was unsuccessful in fulfilling its mandate, and the authority was being thrusted upon the public officers, the members of the PSA. And so we took the decision that that TTRA Act be repealed and the Honourable Prime Minister be authorized to address all financial and staffing obligations attendant on the authority that authority to bring its operations to a close. Further, in keeping with government's stated policy, this government's policy, government will focus on resources, on strengthening the BIR, instead of spending to establish this failure of a TTRA. In this regard, the following measures will be explored: strengthening the composition of the BIR by increasing the number of commissioners. We will also give consideration to including non-public officers as commissioners, as this will allow for greater expertise to be included in the BIR's governance structure and that of the Inland Revenue Division. We will introduce regulations pursuant to Section 3(4) of the Income Tax Act to mandate the BIR to hold monthly board meetings, establish subcommittees for greater management, establish timelines for the BIR to deliberate on important matters, notify the Minister of Finance on important matters, excluding taxpayer information. And I'll come back to that in a moment. And to establish policy in the Inland Revenue Division and other matters. Establish a corporate secretariat in the BIR to allow for proper governance and record keeping. Address all outstanding staffing needs and ensure that the Inland Revenue Division is up to a full complement of staff. And develop a comprehensive audit plan. Implement proper risk management. Develop compliance improvement plan and risk register. Seek technical assistance on further assessment and improvements to the Inland Revenue Division. A special committee will be established to evaluate and make proposals for an effective suite of measures to enable citizens, of course, to comply with the law. Now, I said I'll come back to this, this issue of what happens to data that is held, information that is held on citizens by the BIR, by Inland Revenue. The minister brought to Parliament this TTRA, and his cry was, we need the money, we need the money. But his answer to getting that money, and of course we need the money, we need revenue. We need revenue to run the country, and I'll come back to that as well in a moment. And that was the minister's cry over the 10 years. But what happened? In seeking to establish this TTRA, they placed into the law, the bill that was brought to the Parliament, some very dangerous provisions. And we have already seen evidence how dangerous those provisions could have become. And what that was is they were weaponizing private data to attack those they did not like, or to attack and vilify those they felt that were not in their own fold, in their own party. And we saw it with Derek Chin. How did Derek Chin's, and this is under the existing BIR, how did his data, how did his tax data appear on a front page of a newspaper? I think there was another person, another businessman, their data was there, they were weaponizing that data. Who was it, please? Yeah, yeah. And then we had, in this bill, which they passed into law, we fought against it in the Parliament, but they proceeded. What it allowed is for the Minister of Finance to handpick persons to sit on that TTRA. How can you do that? This is private information. We are entitled to privacy rights. And that is where we were very concerned that they would handpick, the minister will handpick people and use the data contained within the database of the BIR and Inland Revenue to weaponize it against us. So any one of you, any citizen, your private data would have been in danger of being used and weaponized against you. We could not support that. And there's another reason why we did not want to support this CTRA, and it has to do that it is our respectful view that revenue collection, as well as in the same vein as how national security matters, should remain in the hands of the state and should not be in the hands of private citizens. So the famous case I mentioned to my team earlier of Endell Thomas and the Attorney General from way back in the day. In that case, there was a controversy as to whether you can privatize security issues in a state. And the Privy Council held no. This is a core function of a government, security, national security. It is our respectful view that revenue collection is also a core function of a state and should not be put in the hands, as I said to you before, of these persons being handpicked by the minister in that ministry. So here we are repealing that, and I'm very proud that my team and I, we all agreed that we would repeal the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority and instead strengthen Inland Revenue and the Board of Inland Revenue. So that's another note that we did. A third one has to do with stand your ground laws and home invasion laws. So the Cabinet, excuse me, on a note brought from our Minister of Homeland Security, 2 notes. We agreed that a special committee be established to evaluate and make proposals for an effective suite of measures to enable citizens to properly defend themselves and to properly defend property when faced with a threat by criminal actors. This special committee will make recommendations for an appropriate stand-your-ground law in Trinidad and Tobago. Data gathered by CAPA, the Crime and Problem Analysis Branch of the TTPS, shows that there has been significant increases in burglaries in almost every division in both Trinidad and Tobago, and that citizens in rural areas are particularly vulnerable to this type of criminal activity because of the relatively long distance, in rural areas, neighbors being apart, the distances that they cover in the rural areas. It is a particular dangerous situation for families. Therefore, we are working on the development of targeted and coordinated policing approaches and the enactment of an effective suite of legislative provisions, as I say, required to combat this activity in Trinidad and Tobago. We established a special committee, and they will come to us with their recommendations as we try to keep our promise to make TNT a safer place. We have another one, similarly, a committee to be established to deal with home invasions. So we have the Stand Your Ground Laws Committee and one to deal with home invasions. We have established several key subcommittees for in-depth and focused decision making. So these are some of the things we've been working on, which the Cabinet has approved today, and we'll start work on them as fast as tomorrow. The bills to introduce, to repeal the TTRA, to amend the Children's Life Fund, as I said, they will be laid in Parliament at the first sitting of the Parliament, and I'll come back to you to tell you what our projections are for parliamentary sittings. Now, something else has happened, and it's tied to the Parliament, and it's tied to the whole issue of the finances of the nation and financing for goods and services for Trinidad and Tobago. This election has coincided with a mid-year review. You will recall at this time of the year, May, June, July, a mid-year review is undertaken to deal with expenditure and revenue for the supply of goods and services for governing Trinidad and Tobago. So it means, and it meant, that we had to assess the state of the economy as a priority, and that after the assessment, we can move forward with many policies. On my direction, several ministers, all ministers have met with their departments, ministers, PSAs, departments, and so on, with a view to identifying what is the status of revenue and expenditure in each of these ministries, and what is the deficit. I am not surprised, and you should not be surprised, that in every ministry they have maxed out the expenditures, and in many of the votes, and we will give you details in due course, in many of the, out of the votes allocated to ministries, it is zero. It is zero. And the financial year still has many months to go. So it is imperative that we undertake in the Parliament ASAP a midterm review to see where more funds will be needed, where we can switch around and transfer funds, because that's how it works. When you do the midterm review, see where the most crucial areas are to put more money or to move money laterally from one ministry to another where they have not used their monies. And that exercise, we will be engaged to do the midterm review at the earliest opportunity. My ministers will tell you for themselves what is the status of their allocation. I am told in one ministry, the Attorney General's ministry, in fact, where is HE? Yeah, HE's ministry. Payment, HE was it payment of legal fees. They vote for paying legal fees. The line item is called, the vote for that is at zero. At zero. And at the moment, $69 million. $69.6 million to be paid. Some to the Eater Food lawyers, I'm not sure. But we'll soon find out who they are. 69 still left owing. Michelle tells me, where's Michelle? Remind me what you found in your ministry, Michelle, MP Michelle. I'm sorry? Oh, using the self-help vote for campaigning. So there'll be a lot of issues the Honourable Attorney General will have to look at where government funding was being used for electoral gain. Some people might call it bribery. Some people might call it buying votes. So when we come to tell you what is the reality, we will also tell you why and how we reached to this point. Several ministers may want to tell you, but we'll give them another time. We've been here all day, and they will share with you where monies, people were hired, but just a 1 month hiring to be paid at exorbitant monies just in this one election month. A lot of those things more will come forward. Some better news, good news. I had instructed the Minister of Energy, the two ministers in that ministry, Rudal Munilal and Ernesto, to meet with the various CEOs and heads of energy state enterprises. They met, and Dr. Munilal and Ernesto, MP Ernesto, mandated our policy position. And this was on my very first day on swearing. I indicated first or second day of the swearing-ins. I asked them to engage with the authorities of Guyana, Suriname, and Grenada to fast-track some of the following projects. One, the proposal for the establishment of a solar PV power plant in Suriname by state agency, our National Energy Agency. The technical and economic feasibility assessment of a cross-border subsea pipeline from Trinidad to Suriname as an option for monetizing gas from Suriname and Guyana by way of NGC. Further, the ministers in the Ministry of Energy are expected to participate as featured speakers at the Suriname Energy, Oil and Gas Summit to be held in June 2025. They will maximize this opportunity to engage in high-level discussions with key entities from the region in order to support energy initiatives and ensure economic benefit to Trinidad and Tobago. Our efforts are focused on actively promoting economic cooperation in the energy sector within the region by the establishment of agreements to serve with binding force to unite our countries and to place Trinidad and Tobago once again as the center and the hub of the energy sector of the CARICOM. These efforts will result in mutual value creation, sustainability through energy endeavors in partnership with our CARICOM neighbors. However, value creation is an ongoing process which needs to be nurtured through the fostering of bilateral and multilateral relationships. In this regard, We are also actively pursuing the Grenada Gas Initiative to ensure the resources within the region are optimally developed for the benefit of not only Trinidad and Tobago, but for the region as a whole. I'm very proud of this initiative, and we move towards its success. Now, the Minister of Finance has a different story to tell us. They visited the Finance Ministry May 5th. They met with the PS, Deputy PS, and staff at the Eric Williams Building, Finance Building, Port of Spain. They got several briefing notes from those various secretariats. They found what was reported to them. As I said earlier, what they found is not surprising. It's a reality check to know where we are, and tomorrow the Minister of Finance, Minister of Planning, and others will hold a full press briefing on what is the reality of the day when it comes to the economy. What they were told, and they've shared with us, and the most important part of it is the country's cash flow month to month. The cash flow statement gives an estimated update of the government's immediate status by month, which is informed by multiple divisions of the Finance Ministry. In April 2025, just last month, total cash inflow was estimated at $3.95 billion, and total cash outflow was estimated at $5.28 billion. What is it telling us? The outflow is more than inflow, so we have a deficit. That was met in April from the central bank's available overdraft cash balance. By the end of April, the available overdraft cash balance was $3.6 billion, of which $2.7 billion was carried forward to May 2025. So, from April, available overdraft, $2.7 billion is carried forward to this month of May. It should be noted, however, that there was an outstanding balance of unpaid checks in the system, valued at $500 million, which was also carried forward to May. Carried forward to May. Cash inflows for May from the various revenue sources of the government, estimated $2.38 billion. However, it is estimated that the cash overflow will be around $6.3 billion, resulting in a cash deficit position of $3.92 billion this month. Worse, if all the unpaid checks in the system were presented for payment, this would add a further $500 million to the deficit for the month of May. This will then take our total deficit in this month to $4.42 billion for this month. And therefore, the Ministry of Finance will need to find funding. So while we give you the reality of the situation, we will fix it. We have the plans. We have the policies. And above all, we have the willpower to fix this. And this is what we had warned about in the entire election campaign. That is why I'm telling you today, I am not surprised, and you should not be surprised. We said they had drained the Treasury. We knew that coming in, so we are not caught by surprise. So we were ready with the plans, policies, and programs to fix it, and fix it we will. We will. So as we are, cash flow, we have a deficit of $4.42 billion. How are we going to fill that hole? How are we going to fill that financial hole? Not H-O-L-E, W-H-O-L-E. It's a big hole. How? This is a delicate situation. It means that our country was being run month to month, literally living first on the overdraft at the bank. You remember when they told us we were running on fumes in 2010, 2015? They had maxed out that overdraft, they told us, running on fumes. Nothing was further from the truth. Now it's not about maxing out and running on fumes. They don't even have the fumes. They did not even leave fumes. Left us with over $4 billion in a deficit situation. So we have to find the money. I tell you, We will find it with the willpower and with the brains. We have very competent people in finance in our country. We will find a way to meet the deficit in May. $4.42 billion in deficit. The ones for me can be funded as follows. One, we propose to draw down on the remaining $2.7 billion available in the overdraft facility at the central bank. Two, we propose to refinance a minimum of 60% of Treasury bills due in May. This will free up about $647.7 million to address part of the deficit. While it is estimated that 60% will be used, it is more practical to refinance the entirety of the $1.1 billion in Treasury bills to leave some breathing space with the balance in the overdraft. So it's a combination of plans that we have to fill that deficit that we have inherited. We will also look at the HSF, the available balance in the HSF to be drawn down for the rest of fiscal year 25 of $1.76 billion. We will have to undertake additional borrowing of about $1 billion. So I've raised the questions about June's cash flow, the expected deficit for fiscal 25, and it means at the end of this fiscal year, that deficit is about $11 billion. We said it in the budget when we were debating our last budget late last year for the 25 fiscal year. We said it whilst our minister was giving us some cock and bull story about it will only be this amount and that amount. We told them, we were aware. So you didn't catch us cat and bag, as they say. You did not. We knew and we warned the country about it, and maybe that is why the country overwhelmingly voted for us. Because the country knew that we could fix it and that we will fix it. So at the end of the fiscal, I've given you the deficits at this point in time. I've given you some proposals of how we plan to fix that now to take the country through into the May and June period. And then we go into the midterm review, and then we'll go into budget 2026. So let's look at collection of taxes. The most recent tax collection data for fiscal 25 is up to March of this year, 25. The data shows that from October 2025 to March 2025, a total fiscal collections were $17.5 billion. That is revenue. The PS and the Ministry of Finance has been asked to provide a revised projection of revenues in the short and medium term. Given the high levels of deficit and debt, this is likely to adversely affect ratings from credit rating agencies. So I'm warning you again. And in the meantime, I really would like to, all these measures that we'll be putting in place, I want to tell you why. We will do everything we can to fix it, to fill that deficit in the short term, in the medium, and in the long term. Can you find me the note, please, of the one, I think it's 7, Cabinet Note number 7. Before I go into collection of tax, because this is showing you again the deficits from the revenue streams, deficit versus revenue versus expenditure versus. Okay. In my Cabinet Note, which you'll find about this matter, we have to find solutions to filling that deficit for the cash flow and as we go further down the road. And why? I mentioned to you, we'll drill down to the HSF, we'll go into the overdraft, we'll have additional borrowings, the Treasury bills and so on, due. We have to do it because this is the way we have determined to help workers in this country. This is the way to keep your pensions going. This is the way, Mr. Tanku, which paragraph was it, please? Yeah, paragraph 8 of the Cabinet Note on cash flow. And this is what it is for. Of the total cash outflows of $6 billion for May 25, is to fix mandatory expenditure, which is expenditure on all salary-related items, pensions, social assistance payments, debt service, and THA accounts, which will comes up to about 86.2% of outflows of payments from May 2025. The main components of this are as follows: salaries and pensions amounting for $2.2 billion. Debt servicing, $2.6 billion. Expenditure on goods and services, transfers and subsidies, $509.6 million. So, these are the measures we will take now in the short term to be able to pay salaries and pensions, to do debt servicing, and expenditure on other goods and services, transfers, and subsidy. Assuming that unpaid checks in the system, estimated to be $500 million as at April 30, is likely to be presented for clearance in May 25, the total cash requirement for May 25 will be in the region of $4.3 billion. We will plug that hole. We will fix it in the ways I have described to you, and I have every confidence that we will be able to do this, to save workers, their jobs, their salaries, and their pensions, and for the supply of goods and services for the running of Trinidad and Tobago. I mentioned to you collection of taxes, and that is only to show once again the deficit. The deficit now, revenue, expenditure, and the deficit projected to the end of the fiscal year, and that was where I was saying, you know, we had warned them that it would have been in the region of $11 to $12 billion in deficit, but we will plug that too. Our ministers will hold a press briefing tomorrow, our finance and planning and so on, to share with you some matters we have talked to you about in the immediate term, what we're going to do. Then we'll have the short term and medium term, our plans and projections to bring money into the country. One is through the energy sector, which I've shared with you today, and there will be others that our ministers will share with you tomorrow. I talk now about the opening of Parliament. We are looking at a ceremonial opening of Parliament sometime later this month of May, and we will advise you. The Parliament will need some lead time in order to put it in place, so as soon as we have that liaison with them, we shall share with you the date for opening of our Parliament. Some other plans, the way forward, I've spent some time with you talking about the work we've done this week. Let's talk a little about how, after this week, the way forward. We have started plans today, and we plan to complete in the coming months. This includes scrapping of the demerit point system. We have already dealt with the issue of introducing stand your ground and home invasion laws. We will be reviewing shortly firearm license laws. Remember, we've said we will consider giving legal firearms to law-abiding citizens, but they will only be given to persons who want it. So I see some people complaining, no. Well, if you don't want it, well, you know what to do. Do not apply. Just don't apply. Law-abiding citizens, please apply. We wouldn't just pick it up and say, Akash, you are law-abiding, take it. No, we'll have regulations and criteria to determine to whom it shall be given. Because remember, to whom much is given, much is expected. We'll also look, Minister of Health, especially in identifying spaces for cath labs. Remember, we've said there should be a 90-minute from entry, is it? To balloons, descending. 90 minutes. We have to work for that. You know how many lives can be saved? So we've been talking about these cath labs. The previous regime had no interest in saving your life because you know why? Because they could have got it anytime they wanted. Anytime they wanted, just call. I am coming up to California. Remember? They didn't need my health system, yours. But we need it. Our families need it. So doctor has been mandated here, together with Ms. John, from, what is it called? UNICOT. For us to put up, let us get these cath labs going. 90 minutes, you know. It makes a difference to saving the life of a loved one. of a child, of your family. So let's that. We'll also begin the program to assess and determine and decide the reopening of the Petrogen refinery. Yeah. And as you know, close to my heart, when school opens in September, we will have your laptops for the children entering secondary school. You know, during the campaign, when I talk, and even before, sometimes I go places and it so warms my heart, and I'm so proud of what we did in the 2010 to 15 period. People come and say, whatever they call me, anti-cams, whatever they call me, you know you gave me a laptop? Look, I still have it. I'm still using it. It's still functioning. One guy told me, he said, listen, I still have it, and I'm using it at university. That was one of the best programs. Could you imagine we had that during the COVID? We will bring those laptops back. So, Minister of Education, you have, where is he? Looked at all that. You have your job cut out. I want those laptops in time for the September school reopening. And again, in a way that more ordinary people will benefit, and give some sort of equity and equality of treatment, because everybody deserves equal and fair treatment. I've instructed the Minister of Homeland Security to provide a list of all persons at present benefiting from state-funded security, both state security and private, being paid for by the state. I plan to redirect most of these resources towards the fight against crime. So many of these unnecessary security details will be cut out. That's what I am told that some of these guys have armored, what do you call it, armored cars? Armored vehicles. I didn't know we had a war in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a criminal war. Armored vehicles, one with about 6 backup security personnel. Do we need that? When you can't save your child in your own home, or on your street, or in your community, let's redirect these resources. I'm not saying we strip everybody off. Those high risks, we will do the work. But some people just have this driving around feeling they're looking like Big Hefe and Big Papi. Not because there is a risk and a need. So we will look at that. I have also requested a listing of government officials supplied with state-funded housing to see where we can cut some costs. I am being told that there are government officials from the last, some of them have up to 3 and 4 state-funded houses. Can you believe that? We will let you know in due course. But I'm not here about name-calling. I'm here about policy and programs that more people of the country can benefit from, that there can be more equity and more equality. So I've asked for that. Let's see where we can cut some of these costs. And I have directed my own ministers, don't ask for no state-funded housing, please. Don't. The country is not so large that you need to have a house in Port that's being paid for by taxpayers. There are people who don't even have a house. You want to have 2, your own house and one in town? No. And some might vex with me, but I will stick firmly to that. And I'll tell you why. Ministers have a housing allowance paid for by the state. If you want house in town, go and pay your own rent. You all agree? Pay your rent. Why must the taxpayer pay your rent when they can't pay their own rent? They don't even have a place to stay. That should not continue to happen. We have to cut costs. So, state-funded housing, you want house, pay for house. Agreed? Let's pay for it. And they all agreed today. Maybe they didn't like what I said, but they agreed, and I'll keep them to it. Our country is not that big. You can drive. You can drive. Even Point Fortin, I felt a little sorry for Point Fortin MPs because that is really far away. But Given and Moruga, well, let me finish with Point because I have an answer for that right away. Given the highway we had begun, and which we shall certainly complete. What's this now, 45 minutes? Yes. 45 minutes. Yeah. Moruga, Ms. John, you have plenty of work to do for Moruga and Mayara. They are a bit far away, and the roads, I told you, the other night I attended a meeting in Moruga. And I said, which road is this, please? They said something called Papuri Road. I said, but this is not a road, it's a drain. Do you remember? So, Ms. John, that road I'm asking you, ask all the others to give priority. Okay, so look, we've been hard at work. There's one other thing I've asked for. I have directed to my secretariat and PS that an assessment be done to cap the maximum price on vehicles which parliamentarians can purchase using their tax breaks. So yes, you may say give them none at all. I am not of that view because they have a lot of traveling work to do. But I've asked that we put a cap. What was the one? Minister Sturgeon told me what was a hatchback or Maybach? Or something called a Maybach. You already need a Maybach to go see your constituents. If you want it, buy it from your own money. But it should not be taking up all the tax breaks that you get from government funding, which means it's taxpayers' money. You want to drive Maybach and what else? I don't know what they make cars. I just have a little Prado. So maybe the cap might be around that. I think Mr. Alexander,
Yes, ma'am.
he said he has what? A Hillman Hunter.
A Hillman Hunter.
Hillman Hunter. Okay, so it sounds funny, but these are ways we can cut costs, and these are ways we can contain, overreach to better serve the people of our land. Now, we've been hard at work. I shared you the first week. We've done a lot, I think. Others will wish I could do more, but we have more days to come. And we shall be reporting to you and to the nation on a regular basis. And I want to turn now to thank all for their best wishes to our government, new government, for their offers to serve our country, for thanking them for sending plans. A lot have been sending plans. Many want to be on boards, many want to serve in different capacities. Thank you all. You may think we are not responding. Every one of us here is getting on our email and WhatsApp. We will give consideration to all of them. We will give consideration. And so if this is 1 week, I want to remind you this is only 1 week. If we have not responded to all of you, we will consider and respond. But we need time. And the priority was to put the government in place, which is the cabinet, and go forward on our plans. So please, what do you say, hold strain, have a little patience. We will respond, and we will involve as many as we can, because my mantra has always been, we listen and then we lead. So we will listen. Again, I want to thank, they told me to leave this out, but I really want to deal with it. I want to thank so many of you who have reached out expressing concerns about my health. I want to give you the assurance that I am in good health. I want to give you... But I thank you for your concern. I think some people are just missing seeing me. So when you don't see me for a day, you think I've lost 10 toes. Remember that story? Can I just show you I have all 10 toes, all 10 fingers. I'm in good health, and I thank God for that. And my health remains in the hands of the Lord. Do not be troubled. Let not your heart be troubled. You elected me and the team to help rescue and rebuild our country. We will do everything we can to honor those commitments. Again, health, never fear, Kamala is here. Never fear. And I thank you. Now, I see here concerns also being expressed about where will I govern from, about office space and whatever. Thank you for your concerns about that as well. I appreciate it. Where will I have space to carry out my duties and responsibilities? I want to assure you, I will be working out of facilities in Port of Spain. I'll be working out of facilities in central Trinidad, because we do have, from when last we were in government, we established a cabinet room in central. It was then the Ministry of Tertiary Education. It is now Ministry of Agriculture. There is a cabinet room there. I will be working out of South Trinidad, because we had also established a cabinet room upstairs of the teaching hospital. I've asked the Minister of Health to find out for me what is the condition of that. But I'm told the one at Central is still in good order. And I will be operating out of Tobago. I'm told there's a beautiful facility in the island of Tobago. We will also work out of Tobago. And most definitely, I will work out of my own home. I do not receive a housing allowance, so I do not have to pay myself to use my own home. So let you rest your brain on that, because some people feel I getting money to use my own home. No. So we have North, we have Central, we have South, we have Tobago, and there may be others. So we'll use the facilities. So there are two things about that. Whichever one is more convenient or necessary at any given point in time, we'll choose that one. Okay? The other point will be, there's some things that may be more conducive, North, South, Central Tobago, but it's also sharing our governance with a wide cross-section of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. So it is not that we are, so people like a cloistered virtue and we come into Port of Spain. And no. The country does not begin and end at the lighthouse. It does not begin and end at the lighthouse. Yes, we cross the lighthouse and come up here, but there are other parts of the country we need to service. And when we do go into those areas, we can meet when we use the facilities in these various parts of the islands, where we can meet people from there as well. So I am not, and we will not be a government for Port of Spain, of Port of Spain, and by Port of Spain. But we will be part of a government of Port of Spain, for Port of Spain, by Port of Spain, and of South and of Central, and of Tobago, most important. And for those of you, crying, please do not cry. Crying about Kamala working from home, Kamala not having meetings, nothing is further from the truth. And today I want to share something with you. It struck me, let me ask the Cabinet Secretariat about where Cabinet meetings have been held. And you will be shocked. One day I stayed home this week. When was it? Monday. And I didn't just stay home, we were working. As you saw people coming and going with these big folders coming and going. I don't have Greg very happy to have all these people traipsing in and out of the house. But I have to do what I have to do. Let me share this with you. For the period 2020 to 2025, a total of 298 cabinet meetings were held virtually. 298 cabinet meetings were held virtually. Where were you? You were not in the Dip Center? You were not in Whitehall? Where were you? I don't want to know, really, where were you? The point is, you held virtual meetings. And therefore, this is precedent. In this day and age, you do not have to, one lawyer told me when they do virtual hearings, I don't mean to sound obscene, he's a very brilliant lawyer. He said, boss, I will sit in the chair having my jacket, and I'm doing virtuals. You don't know what else I'm having, what I'm wearing. Really, a senior lawyer told me that. Which is, you can do virtual from any part of the world. Corporations larger than a nation like TNT run their business virtually around the world. So what's wrong with virtual? Of course, we'll have in-person meetings when and where most necessary, but there's always the virtual. So 298 cabinet meetings in that just about 5-year period. I haven't even gone back from, remember they were there from 2015, 20? So far, ask the CAPSEC, we reached 2020 to 2025. 298 cabinet meetings. Remember this, and not only in COVID. The most recent one is right here in this year, in 2020, January 25. Virtual meetings. 5, you know what that 298 adds up to? Basically, you have one cabinet meeting per week, sometimes more than one. So if you multiply and divide, I'm not a great maths person, so I asked Barry to calculate for me. 298 meetings, virtually, divided by 52 weeks per year. You know how much years is that of virtuals? About 5.5 years of virtual meetings in this 5-year period, last 5-year period. I'm sorry? This year I have them here. This is not me. I asked the CAPSEC, let me just hold it so people go and clean up thing and, what is the word? Sanitize. These are the documents from the CAPSEC. List of meetings 2020 to 2025. Cabinet meetings. In addition to cabinet meetings, you have subcommittees of the cabinet. This is the second list of the subcommittee meetings. And again, you will not be surprised based on what I've just told you. So these are FNGPC meetings for 2020 to 2025. This is a subcommittee of the cabinet that also meets basically once a week. And for these virtual 200 FNGPC meetings held virtually. I rest my case on this matter of where meetings are to be held and what has happened. Thank you in the past. So let me close now. And I want to say thank you to the team. Give them a round of applause, or give yourself a round of applause. I want to thank the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, P.S. Barrow, who has been a wheel of a help of a strength in this past week as we scrambled to do everything in time, in place. So P.S. Barrow and your staff, I thank you. I also want to say thank you to the Cabinet Secretary, Ms. Hemley, Cheryl Hemley, for her work in this past week. And of course, CAPSEC Hemley and the entire Cabinet Secretariat for the work they've done for us in this week since we became the new government. And at the end, I want to thank the Clerk of the House, Mr. Brian Caesar, for accommodating us here in the Red House today to hold our first cab and for our press conference. I'm in your hands. Any questions? I will try my best.
Prime Minister, good evening. Akash Samaru, Guardian Media. You painted a pretty bleak economic picture just now. I know as an opposition, you all were vehemently against the salary increases for parliamentarians. Now that you've told us what you've told us there, will there be any consideration, a personal decision, to revert to the old salary structure for your government?
Well, my lawyers have advised me, AG, that I do not have that prerogative. In accordance with the law, I do not have it. We did discuss it. And, AG?
There are a number of categories of persons covered by the SRC, including judges, permanent secretaries, and so on, so that it is difficult to do it that way.
Yeah, thank you.
Just like in 2010 to 2015, when you would have instructed your ministers to give a portion of their salary to the Children's Life Fund, can that also happen where you take a personal decision?
That is a different issue completely. Please don't confuse them. I'm not buffing you. I'm just saying let's not. I don't want the report to come out. Let's not confuse it. One, you're asking me if I can overturn the decision of the SRC as accepted by the former government. My AG has responded in law. I am a lawyer, but I prefer to defer to senior lawyer in this matter. The second one, should we continue to contribute to the Children's Life Fund? For 10 years, Kakash, have you ever asked any one of them if they will contribute for that children's life?
I'm asking you.
And the answer is no. The answer is no. You have never asked them. On my first week in office, you are saying I must mandate everybody to give up a percentage of this. We did it. Immediately I set up this life fund, I did it. And you cannot continue to hold us to one standard, but fail to mention the other. So when you ask this question, mention it. I am not buffing you. I am just saying you cannot expect us. I was too nice last time. Yes. I was too nice. And therefore, no, I was too nice, and people took my kindness for weakness. That will not happen this time. I have a country to run, and I have people to look after. Sorry, Akash, that's the answer.
Okay.
Anyone else, please? Or you said,
you.
Like they mandated you to be.
No. It's a legit. It's a legit question.
Sorry.
It's a legit question coming from your philanthropy between 2010 and 2015. So I was wondering, and you all were very much against that salary increase. That's why I asked.
Yeah, you're right, but I've tried, and the legal advice is otherwise.
And I
And
don't.
they will not answer.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
You might give them buffer people.
Yeah, I do appreciate you ministers telling me to ask my next question. But my next question will be, you all campaign on a very bold promise that when you all win, everyone will win. Given the economic reality you just gave us, or what you claim, will this mean that certain deliverables will need to be pushed back? You mentioned the laptops, but what about the salary increases?
Certainly, we will make it happen. We will find the money, and we will make it happen. We will.
But when?
No, again, the when. This is week 1. That's why I took my time. I was sworn last Thursday. Today is just 1 week. I've kept here and shared with you how many promises we've already kept in 1 week's time. Have some faith and some trust. We will make it happen. We have the plans. Tomorrow, I said finance people will be addressing deeply more things. I know that was a question in the campaign. Kamala, where you get any money? Where you get any money? If they fail to get the money, that is not my fault. We will find that money to keep our promises. We will. We will. I mentioned to you Guyana. I mentioned to you Suriname. I mentioned to you Grenada. Thus far, the information coming from the ministry, our Ministry of Energy, is the government never pursued. Correct. The work, here's the minister, he had his meetings, he will talk. Those were 3 ways of getting money into this country, because the energy sector was the backbone and the front bone of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. We will revitalize that sector to bring money into TNT. And then we have our Minister of Trade and Planning with policies and programs to deal with diversification, not just with energy. Akash, to those who are worried, I give you the assurance we are working. It will not be tomorrow. We've been there 1 week. Well, give me the next few weeks. And I have said to you how we can find money in the energy sector. They will share the non-energy sector. We have some very good things and already in the pipeline. So 1 week to go, many more to come. Thank you, Akash. It was not a buff. Please, I keep repeating.
A very good evening to you, Madam Prime Minister, Urvashi from TV6. Whereas you have spoken about, where you will be conducting your cabinet business and so on, has a decision been made about your secretariat, 1, and if repairs, about your cabinet secretariat, where they will be housed, 1, and 2, if repairs will still be affected on Whitehall and Diplomatic Center, where Mr. Padarat would have shown videos of the conditions there?
Sure. I will consult with the PS for the best advice in answer to your questions. They're already looking at the cost of the repairs taking place, the housing of the secretariat. These are matters we will have to address. We have official facilities, and the answer is yes, but I'll depend on the PS to advise and the time frame within which that could be done. But in the interim, everybody was worried about where I will sit. I have many seats and places that we can conduct business from.
And just to say, I understand it's just been 1 week
okay.
of business. But of course, the question about if Section 137 of the Constitution will be...
Section what?
137 of the Constitution.
Which one is that, the Chief Justice?
Yes,
What
given
about
the
it?
Privy Council's ruling against what had happened to Marcia A.S. Caesar.
Sure.
And of course, some persons lobbied you, then opposition leader, about raising your voice about the issue. We saw the past government did not seek to do that. We know that you, as the Prime Minister, will have to initiate that. Has any consideration been made? Is the Chief Justice still suitable to sit in that position?
Sure. We have not had discussions on that matter. As we go forward, we will let you know.
Good evening, Priya Bihari, AZP News. You said the deficit is about 11 billion, right? And then there are campaign promises, and some people estimate that to be $12 billion. So
11 to 12.
how are you going to
Take
find
a billion.
all that money if you're going to finance the deficit and come good on your campaign
Okay,
promises?
it's a very good question, which I think I may have already answered. What I intend to do, I will share with all of you my speaking notes, which contains parts of the answers. to the questions that you ask. Is that okay, Brian? Yeah, okay. Barry, can we make sure this is sent out to all media? Yes, who is it?
Hi, Prime Minister Sonalala, TDT News. I know you mentioned several priority areas, but where does I'm not sure whether the Health Minister has already assessed it, but where does the Couva Children's Hospital fall under? And secondly, the divers' compensation for the families.
All right.
Any
Two
priorities?
questions, yes, I will try my best. Couva Children's Hospital was a brainchild of my partnership government. We intend to do everything we can to open that Couva Children's Hospital, which is also a teaching hospital. Ms. John Udicott is the, what you call herself, not the client, the opposite of client, you are the
I'm the,
Udicott.
yes. I'm the project manager.
Project manager, and the Minister of Health, of course, is the line minister. So they will be bouncing heads together, but we did give a commitment. You're asking how much money? I'm very sorry I cannot say $5 or $10 now, but we are assessing it with a view to ensure and be open that hospital. And please be reminded, I think I read somewhere somebody saying we don't need a children's hospital. First of all, I totally disagree, and we are all human adults that we can agree to disagree. But secondly, that hospital, even though it was built children's hospital, it was not only for children. It would take care of mothers, women. What happened in the, how, Doctor, you pronounce it, NICU? In the NICU in Port of Spain? If we had utilized that officer on board, those 19 children would not have died because it was state of the art for children and for mothers, new mothers. It was also with a burns unit, given the industrial estate close by. Point Lisas. And of course, regular as well. I am told we had equipped that state-of-the-art equipment in that hospital, and especially the radiography parts of it, MRIs and so on. I am being told that the best equipment in the country for that kind of, investigations was bought by our government. So yes, we tell you as we go along in terms of cost and how much and when and where, but I know we'll push very hard. The second question was?
Compensation for the divers' families.
Yes, the compensation. That one is a little more complicated because there are two stages in that process, and I've already shared with my team, we want to be careful how we proceed with it because there may be an appearance of a conflict of interest given that the lawyers involved for the divers, the one who's alive, and the survivor one, and then the others where the person was actually died. So with respect to the surviving diver, I know the former Minister, Prime Minister, Energy, Prime Minister Stuart Young promised us $1 million and so on. We are looking at it to see how best we can do it. But there's a bit of a complication which I'll need further advice from the lawyers for the state. And remember, the state represents the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago. So here it is, the $1 million was promised. Of course, promises never materialized, never delivered. But conflict of interest possibly with the lawyers, okay, because they are seen to be UNC lawyers. Was that one-shot payment to be a one-shot, one and off? Or is it that the cases continue? And the impression I'm getting is after the $1 million, that the cases will continue for further monies. So I don't want to run out there without having sufficient knowledge, legal and otherwise, as how best to proceed, but compensate we will. We may look at, for example, to solve that issue of the conflict interest and the $1 million now and $5 million later by having a kind of judicial settlement, having the parties come together before a court, a judicial officer, rather than the two lawyers sitting there and say, he says he wants $5 million and decides saying $1 million. We may have to look at a judicial settlement of those matters. But we will help those families as much as we can. The further complication is, it might sound a bit hilarious, but for those who have passed away, or those who perished, who is the family? Who is the administrator? What do you call it, administrator? Well, it's not just next of kin, the executor who holds the letters of administration. So you may have, and I have seen this happen in funerals before. So you go to a funeral, And this is the home, it's jokey, but it's true. You know the person too. You go to the funeral, the night of the wake I went, because there were people in our areas, and wife there screaming down the place and carrying on and thing. And a short while after, I see our next lady up here, and she started to scream, oh God, my husband, he's gone, his song's hilarious. So you come back to who is the executor-in-law, the legal person, the LPR legal person representative. So there are those further complications, which I think may have happened with the former minister, because you have to get those things sorted out. I hope I've answered both your questions. That's it.
No. Good evening, Paula Lindo. All right, Paula Lindo from the Newsday here. You said that you have appointed 24 ministries, but there are a couple that people seem to see are as essential. So,
Name one, please. I'm open to suggestions.
I am. So, who is and where will they be situated? The government's communications minister, and will there be a gender and child affairs minister?
The Gender and Child Affairs is going to our Ministry of the People, Social Development and Families.
Okay.
With respect to communications, I am not the review. I need a communications ministry. What I will have in the Office of Prime Minister is government information to deal with the sharing of that information. So those are the two people are concerned about.
Yes, under
Okay.
that, but also under the Ministry of Public Administration, will they be continuing the implementation of a work from home policy, which was started by the previous administration?
The implementation of
And
what,
also-
please, Ms. Lindo?
Work from home policy, and
Did we
which
ever
had
have
been
a-
started by the previous administration.
Did we ever have a work?
Well, that's what I said. They had started to look into it.
I don't
And
think that ever
also,
happened.
with the Digital Transformation Ministry being scrapped, is that ministry also going to be tasked with carrying
Which
forward
one,
those
sorry?
initiatives?
Scrapped?
Digital transformation.
But digital will fall under AI. In my respectful view, I may be wrong. And expanded is expanded. It will continue, but expanded into AI as a whole. Your first question about work from home,
So the previous administration
it
had-
never happened. With due respect.
Yes,
So let's forget
which I
Ms. Lindo.
understand, but I
Where
want
is
to
the
know, will it be
continuation on? Are you saying,
because-
should I consider?
Yes.
Work? I think that might be something to be considered. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound, I appreciate your questions. Yeah, terse maybe. Terse is the word. Ms. Lindo, anything else, please? No? Okay.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, good evening. Can you confirm whether the report of the Auditor General on the public accounts of Trinidad and Tobago for the financial year 2024 has been submitted to the Office of the Minister of Finance? And if so, have you had sight of that report or received any briefing from the Minister?
The Auditor General's report for the last fiscal year has been forwarded to the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago for laying in the Parliament, and has been forwarded to the Minister of Finance. However, the practice and the protocol and maybe even the law is that we do not speak to it until it is laid in Parliament. At the first sitting of Parliament, it shall be laid, and you will get some serious revelations contained within that, as was contained in the last one. But I cannot speak to it until it is laid in the Parliament, which will be the first sitting. Okay, it seems like everybody's happy. Thank you for being here. Thank you all very much. I hope I've answered your questions. And feel free, tomorrow there will be another press briefing from the finance ministries on some of the more serious aspects of the reports that we received. Members of the government, I thank you all very much for your patience. We've had a long, hard-working day, and members of the media, thank you all for being here. Have a good evening. Get home safe. Thank you.